Good morning, everyone, and welcome along to the Blood Red Morning Bulletin, the Liverpool News Daily live show across the Blood Red YouTube channel, Liverpool.com, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Patrick Smith. I'm once again the host for today, joined by Liverpool.com's Ben Boxshot. We're forming quite a little team this week, aren't we, Ben? Anyway, let's get straight into it, shall we? As I've said on many times the show, we mainly talk transfer rumours through the summer, so let's start with a transfer rumour. It's Federico Chiesa, Ben, a pretty interesting one, this. Italian publication Calciomercato, amid mounting speculation, say that Liverpool could test the waters with a 30 million bid for Juventus star Federico Chiesa. What do you make of this one then, Ben?
Yeah, I think it's one that a couple of years ago I would have been really excited by, especially at that price tag. That would have been unheard of. I think you ended up going to Juventus for about 70, 80 million euros. So that price tag, I would have been really excited about it a few years ago. It was brilliant. At Fiorentina for quite a while, and I think he flirted around at Liverpool a little bit, if I remember correctly, because he was linked with us at the time. But then he ended up staying in Italy. And now I think, he's had a really serious injury that he's had to come back from this season. His numbers haven't been as impressive for a winger anyway. Juventus have another great season, but still, I think he's only got 10 goals and assists altogether this season. So it's not really a strong return, a strong output. And I think right now, even at that valuation, I would have a little bit of hesitancy and would probably think, is this the kind of player, the kind of position that Liverpool need to be spending in this summer? I think right now the focus should be on the defense and the midfield, and maybe next year that's when we can start thinking about someone on the right wing who can potentially even replace Mohamed Salah in the future.
As you say that, a couple of years ago, I think we'd all be really excited about this. He has had a big injury, but, this season he's been pretty poor. He's come back. You were right. He's got 10 goal contributions across 33 matches this season. He's only scored 2 goals in 21 league matches. It's not exactly the firing form you want for a 50 million plus attacker, really, is it? But, we mentioned there, we've already got Salah, Jota, Nunes, Gakpo. We don't really need an attacker. Or do you think Liverpool do need to be looking at maybe a backup for the right wing, because there's so many players at Liverpool that can play down the left? Do you think maybe an attacker that can play on the right could be useful, especially given they're going to be in the Europa League and all competitions next season?
Yeah, I think it could be useful, but then again, you see Salah, and he doesn't, touching wood, he doesn't tend to miss a lot of games. He doesn't tend to be out with a lot of injuries. So I don't really believe that it's a necessity for Liverpool. It would be handy, but I think whoever Liverpool target is going to be put off by the fact that you do have Mohamed Salah on the right wing, and he doesn't tend to miss a lot of games. So either you'll get someone who's very confident, maybe a bit too confident, maybe a bit deluded, and thinks he can, take Mohamed Salah's place from the team and compete with him for the starting 11, or someone who is just willing to settle as a backup option. But I think few players good enough for Liverpool would be willing to settle for that role.
So there's no way Federico Chiesa is going to make a big move away from Juve to go and become a backup somewhere, is he? But then I think Liverpool will be all right. Whilst I do think they maybe need to look at who's going to be Mohamed Salah's right wing, so I don't think Harvey Elliott or maybe even Carvalho are going to be that person on the right. Ben Doak looks very promising, and I hope we get to see more minutes next season on the right, particularly if they get a nice Europa League draw, throw him in a couple of times, League Cup, FA Cup, early rounds. Let's hope we see him a bit. But anyway, let's move on away from that one, because I think that's a pretty rubbish rumour, as we can all attest to. Let's move on to Caoimhin Kelleher, shall we? So there are reports today that Brentford technical director Lee Dykes believes Caoimhin Kelleher has been in the shadows a little at Liverpool in recent times, as speculation continues to surround the Republic of Ireland's international future. So what do you think, Ben? Is this the summer where Kelleher should look to move for his career? Is now the chance for him to go and break away and become a number one somewhere?
It does feel like the time is nigh, really, when it comes to Kelleher. I just think he's had a lot of years now as the second choice at Liverpool, and he's done really well. He's won trophies for Liverpool, played in the Carabao Cup final, of course. And I think, he's getting to that age. Was born in 1998, same year as me, and I think he's getting to that age where, he's thinking about, he's not a youngster anymore. He's not considered as one anyway, and even for a goalkeeper, he's not necessarily a youngster either. I think, for goalkeepers, you tend to consider maybe even 24 years old as a young goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But Kelleher is not at that age anymore, and I think rightfully so, he is thinking about being a regular somewhere and playing on a consistent basis, because, as a goalkeeper, as any player, you're going to improve a lot more if you're playing regularly. And at Liverpool, that is just impossible with Alisson being in goal, even with the Europa League and there potentially being some opportunities for Kelleher. I just can't see him getting as many games as he would like. So I think it makes sense for both for Kelleher anyway, and for Liverpool as well. He's an academy product. He's been at Liverpool for a while now, and I think Liverpool owe him the opportunity to go away and fulfill his ambitions.
Yeah, could not agree with you more. I mean, as you say, he's been such a character and such a a testament to him that he's been this number 2 at Liverpool basically his whole career so far. Now is the time when I look to move away. If it was me, I'd maybe be looking to have a buyback clause in there if you're selling him to a club like Brentford. I mean, Brighton also rumoured. If he moves on to one of those clubs, have a buyback clause that's a fair price for him. Then when Alisson Becker retires or leaves in maybe 6-7 years time. I mean, it depends how long we can get out of Alisson, to be honest, because the condition he's in, he could go on for maybe 10 years. But I mean, just on that then, so Brentford look like David Raya is going to move on. It's looking likely at Spurs. Do you think that could be a good fit for Kelleher? Because he's quite a good player with the ball at his feet, isn't he? I mean, Brighton also linked. What do you think would be the best move for him on that sense?
Yeah, I think he's definitely good enough to play in the Premier League. So either at Brentford or at Brighton would be a good fit. And I think, I think either one would be a good sort of club for him to go to. Maybe at Brentford he might get more opportunities, although Brentford did just sign another goalkeeper already in this window, so that's something to keep an eye on. Whereas, Brighton, I don't necessarily think they have an out-and-out number one, so there is an opportunity for him there if they are also seriously interested. And on top of that, Brighton are in the Europa League too, so that's something that will be more appealing to him as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is going to be an opportunity opening up for Kelleher this summer because lots of top clubs actually need to sign goalkeepers this summer. It seems there's all of a sudden a big shortage in keepers at the moment, so I think he'll maybe take the place of someone who moves on to a bigger club. That'd be the move for him. But I hope he does well, though, as well, if he does move. But of course, I would like him to stay, and I think the fact Liverpool are in the Europa League next season might just tempt him for one more year and then move on, maybe. But who knows? It's going to be a long summer with Kelleher anyway. But let's move on then to our last point of today's show. It's Roberto Firmino. Now, he could be the latest high-profile player to move to the Saudi Pro League, according to reports. What do you make of this one, Ben? I think it was The Guardian reporting that he's going to follow the footsteps of Karim Benzema and Ronaldo. Do you think the Middle East is the right place for him, or do you think he should maybe give somewhere else in Europe a try?
I mean, I would love to see him in Europe, but that's just being neutral. But from a Liverpool perspective, with a Liverpool lens, I mean, I think I'd rather him go to Saudi Arabia and, earn loads of money, finish out his career with no possibility of him ever facing Liverpool again. I think, I know Liverpool are in the Europa League and he probably could have gone to a Champions League club, but there's always a chance. And I think it would have been very strange to see Firmino playing against Liverpool. So I'm not necessarily against it. I think, a lot of people are going there now to earn a bit of money, and you can't fault them with the amount of, money that's being talked about, the wages that these players and managers are supposed to be getting.
Yeah, I mean, the money there is stupid. The salaries that Benzema and Ronaldo have been given, fair play to Firmino if he wants to go and make that last huge earning. But I mean, do you not think that he's only 31 years of age? was it? I think it was 15 goal contributions in 25 Prem matches. It's basically a goal contribution every 90 minutes he's on the pitch. Do you think it's a bit of a waste for these, last few years as prime in his career to go and spend them in Saudi Arabia? I mean, you could clearly go to Europe and maybe try and win a title in Italy or something that might suit him a bit more. Do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, but I think when there's the temptation of so much money, like you're seeing the salaries and there's always a chance that in the next 2-3 years the Saudi League is going to improve and be a competitive force. So, it's not necessarily, I think he won't just see it as an opportunity to make money, but it's an opportunity to establish himself in an emerging league that is looking to compete at the highest level. That being said, I think he would really be a good fit either in the Bundesliga or Italy, like you said. Potentially even Atletico Madrid, I could see him being a good fit there. It's just about, he is 31 years old, who's willing to give him the kind of wages that he would want, and with the knowledge that he's only going to be around for a few more years. I think the kind of clubs where I would like to see him at, like Borussia Dortmund, even Atletico Madrid, they don't tend to, shop around for older players. They tend to go for the younger ones and build them up. Even in Italy, I think, maybe Inter Milan, AC Milan, but all of these clubs seem to be building for the future, and they're taking a step away from investing in older players. So, I think as well, he's probably seen Sadio Mane's impact at Bayern Munich, which seemed like a really good move last season, but obviously didn't turn out to be as such. And maybe with that knowledge in mind, I think he might be leaning more towards this Saudi opportunity, which is guaranteed money and an opportunity as well to make a name of himself there.
Yeah, it's a really good point you make with Mane, actually. I mean, I think Firmino may well stay out of the limelight to avoid a situation like that. And of course, as well, the point you raised there about lots of teams in Europe are pretty stretched for cash, to put it lightly, this season. So I don't think a 31-year-old who's going to probably want north of 200 grand a week is what you should be spending your money on if you're one of those clubs. So yeah, hopefully Firmino does well in Saudi. Maybe he can become a trailblazer, like you say, and I think it'd be a bit of shrewd business for some of those teams who are going to be splashing loads on superstars like Benzema, Ronaldo. Someone who's slightly under the radar, like Firmino, and less money, could be a huge signing for them. But anyway, we'll wrap that one up there. It's going to be interesting to see what the summer plays out for Roberto Firmino, Caoimhin Kelleher, and maybe Federico Chiesa will end up in the Premier League, but I doubt very much it'll be at Liverpool. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone will be back this time again tomorrow with myself, Patrick Smith, and Ben Bokchak. So we'll catch you again then on the Blood Red Morning Bulletin.